Celine Song came onto the scene around 2 years ago with her breakout hit Past Lives, a movie unanimously adored by the masses and critics alike. It seemed to really tap into a feeling that really resonated with people. So, like most people, I had this unshakable excitement to see what would come next from this woman who seemed to so deeply understand the human condition. Then in June, Materialists, the follow-up to the smash hit, was released in the States to less than glowing reviews. Part of the annoying thing about being so online when it comes to film, especially with these early releases which are happening more and more often, is that it's really hard to avoid the discourse, even if it's just peripherally. While I did my best to avoid these discussions, a single phrase kept repeating itself on all of my feeds: broke boy propaganda. Now, I wasn't particularly annoyed by this sentiment being expressed. Anybody with critical thinking and who'd absorbed any of the marketing would kinda know the direction that the film was going to take. In the end, the girl would pit the love of her life over the rich man who offered her material things. I did, however, find it interesting how often this criticism was being leveled at the film, especially because I was trying to avoid the discourse as well. And in my mind, I was like, surely Celine Song has more to say than this. Surely this is just the classic reductionism of the internet. So, roll around the UK release of Materialists, and I was floored again by this movie. Sure, it's no Past Lives, but I believe that this movie has a lot more to say than people are giving it credit for. So I want to explore why Materialist is really apt and intellectual commentary on love and dating, and investigate reasons why people may have reduced this film down, missing the complexities it has. Because I swear, if I hear broke boy propaganda one more time, I'm going to scream. It's criminal this film decided to market itself as a rom-com, a decision I was sure the creatives had no involvement in. However, recent developments seem to contradict this.
I'd also love to ask you about the label rom-com.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about that label? Because I don't think Materialist is a rom-com in any way.
I think it's a rom-com because
Okay.
I feel like it's a modern romance and you laugh, no?
However, I'm still not entirely convinced by this. This isn't the return to 2000 rom-coms as the marketing promised, nor is it really a romance film. It's a film about romance. I know this is literally a clip of Celine Song, the director herself, saying that this is a rom-com, but I feel like the marketing has maybe brainwashed her as well. I think a far more interesting lens to view Song's sophomore features through is as a character study of Lucy herself. Lucy, played by the wonderfully talented Dakota Johnson. I know some people don't like her performances. I think she's truly spectacular in this. She's the centerpiece of this movie, and it's through her that we explore just how complicated modern love is. I found Lucy to be such an overwhelmingly compelling lead. The film doesn't offer much explicitly in how Lucy has ended up the way that she has. We are thrust into her story, apart from a very pivotal flashback, which is wonderful. Instead, it focuses on the nature of her life currently, being due to the circumstances and expectations she's placed upon her life up until this point. On the outside, this woman seems incredibly happy, and why wouldn't she be? She's got a well-paying job, she's good at what she does, she seems well-liked by the people that she works with, and she has the confidence of somebody who is, at least to the naked eye, winning at life. It's only as you dig deeper into the film, as her life begins to become a tug of war, that her insecurities begin to materialize. She's managed to construct her life so perfectly in order to propel her into the life that she truly wants. Never living, never really feeling. She's on autopilot. She's so focused on this goal of where she wants her life to be that she has put up blinders to the outside world. Enter Harry, played by the devilishly handsome Pedro Pascal, the man of her dreams, the man who seems to be the key to unlocking this elusive, illustrious life that she so desperately craves. He's the whole package. He's rich, he's handsome, he's tall, he's got a well-paying job. In her mind, she's done it. She has maneuvered herself into a career and onto a path that has led her to him, to her dream life. If only love were that simple. Of course, their whirlwind romance satiates her for a period of time. The nice material things, the fancy dinners, the illustrious New York City apartment. It clearly scratches an itch that Lucy has been unable to reach. But suddenly the glamour fades. Things that were once shiny suddenly seem hollow, and she's faced to confront an emptiness that she has not had to think about probably ever in her life. Once you reach your goal, something you've been chasing since you've been old enough to think, and it's disappointing, What next? Yes, confronted with the idea that the path that she set out for herself was not fruitful, she has to forgo all of her logical instincts. She returns back to the simplest, most human thing she could do. She allows herself to feel. It's something so profound that Song touches on here. We as human beings are able to be logical and we're able to be emotional. Often we let the former take control. After all, there are certain things in life which, unless you are born with a silver spoon in your mouth, require hard work and logical thinking. I think this is especially interesting in the context of who Lucy is as a character, being this professional, put together woman. Society has told us all to be less emotional, to think rationally, but women especially seem to be more harshly criticized for expressing emotions as it's so interlinked with femininity. It's written all over this movie how logical and procedural Lucy is about her entire life. This path that she set out for herself was only achievable if she followed strict rules, but these rules are entirely of her own creation, but in her head they are the solution to living a fulfilling life. While it's implicitly clear that these guidelines Lucy has set for herself have allowed her to secure this lifestyle for herself, it becomes apparent that being logical doesn't necessarily make sense in all facets of life. When logic is applied to love, it can become clinical and completely strips love of what makes it so special, that it's a feeling. It cannot be explained or distilled or put into checklists or criteria. When two people love each other, even when one person falls in love, it's this concoction of feelings that we are unable to write down some equation for. It's what makes it special, but it's also what makes it hard. And it makes it very hard for somebody who's constructed their whole life, who's managed to succeed in their life by being logical. Suddenly, the realization that Lucy has been able to achieve stepping stones to her goal logically becomes entirely pointless when her goal remains illogical. The commentary Song is making here is not an obvious one. The character of Lucy can easily be mapped onto the modern dating landscape, and how we are so keen to distill people to stats and numbers as if that's the way that we will find love. This commentary is then further expanded quite overtly into Lucy's job, and perhaps too explicitly in the prologue and the epilogue, all of which is hammering home this idea that love is not something that we're just able to solve. While this commentary is certainly interesting, I think viewing it this way strips Lucy of the complexities of what it is to be human. This is why I think this movie works so well as a really fascinating character study, because we spend around half the movie with this apparently fully formed Lucy, the self-assured woman who knows who she is and knows what she wants, and very slowly we start to see her waver until very sharply she breaks, and suddenly we are left to pick up the pieces and find out who this person really is. The movie also uses filmic language and cinematic styles to convey this message to us. The whole first half of the film feels very clinical. We have these more static shots of quite barren environments. There's a lot more harsh lighting featured, and even when there's more warm, softer lighting, it's contextual. It's relative to where Lucy is in her mind. As her and Harry begin to get closer, they are physically more close in the movie. There's more of this softer light in scenes, but slowly that light begins to feel less natural. They're in crowded spaces and they're shot in wide. We don't ever feel super intimate with them. We feel at a distance. They don't feel as intimate. The world has not shrunk around them. They're aware of other people. They're often at a distance from one another, and when they're not, for instance when they're in bed together, isolated in these silk white sheets that look unnatural, Song manages to shoot them in such a way that feels clinical. It doesn't feel right. This exact scene is contrasted almost immediately with the bed of John, who has lived in sheets and bedhead, and sure, it maybe provokes thoughts on the wealth disparity between the two men, but it also feels more natural and real. When we first meet John, we see him serving an unusual combination of drinks to Lucy, already signifying the closeness between them. The drinks aren't fancy, it's a beer and a Coke. In that instance, John has given Lucy material things, but it's not about those material things. It's about what they mean. These material things have been imbued with meaning, with love, something that was entirely void of the material things Harry gave Lucy. We get this gorgeous scene of Lucy and John talking outside the wedding where we first meet them, and there's a palpable chemistry between the two. The two actors linger on their words, they gaze at each other with the longing of love. Lucy proceeds to trace the outlines of John's face as if to signify that deep inside her, she can still recall the contours of his face. He left a mark on her that runs so deep, even after so long she still remembers him. He became a part of her. So when Lucy is confronted with the idea that she may no longer love Harry, or rather, she comes to the realization that she never really loved him. She's forced to recall if she has ever felt that feeling. What is the feeling of love? How could she be so sure that she doesn't love Harry? And suddenly, with the blinders down now, the ones she's forced up in order to achieve this life she so desired, she can see that she did experience love. And no, it didn't match any of her criteria, any of her checklists. It didn't align with the future that she saw for herself. However, at some point in her life, she did experience love. Real, true love. As a quick aside, I think it'd be really fascinating with this story what it would look like in the absence of John. If Lucy would still break up with Harry and come to this realization that what she was experiencing wasn't love, or perhaps because she had never accessed those emotions before, she wouldn't know what love felt like. Mapping this onto the metaphor of the modern dating landscape, if people haven't experienced love before and somebody does come and check all their boxes and they're none the wiser to what true love feels like, do they just settle? Is it a relationship of convenience? Perhaps they don't feel love, but at least they check their boxes. If they've never experienced love to begin with, they don't know what they're missing. I just think it's something really interesting to think about. Something she's become all too familiar with is knowing that love doesn't happen all that often. Her job, her life, is constructed around making people find love. But it's rare that that actually happens. We even see this in the opening of the film. Lucy's client, who is getting married, doesn't really love the person she's getting married to. She's doing it to make her sister jealous. She may be in the business of love, but it's clear to her, or rather it's subconsciously being clear to her, and only starting to come to the surface, how it's all a lie. The business of love is an innately flawed idea, as love can't be distilled into numbers. It was hardly a surprise where the story ended up. The marketing alone told us what we needed to know going into this story. Lucy was always going to end up with the love of her life, not a random man who offered her material things that she craved. Cinema has kind of taught us to expect this sort of behaviour, that love will triumph over menial things. In this context, amidst the reaction to the film, the overwhelming backlash to Lucy's choice, ripe for discussion. Cinema doesn't exist in a vacuum. We are consuming art contextually to the world we live in. When you view a movie from pre-1960s, and I say pre-1960s, but honestly, this was going forth into like the 2000s. It's very easy to look back at regressive ideals placed upon female characters due to the misogyny of the time, but we're looking back with modern sensibilities. In a progressive society, these things should be clear to us. In a time now where there's economic unrest amongst Western countries and a dwindling middle class, is the reaction to this film showing us a shift towards our feelings of love and wealth? What holds more value in today's society? Finding the love of your life, or being financially capable enough to escape the shackles of capitalism? The increasing cynicism and pessimism of younger generations towards the outcome of this movie highlights the central fault of the way that we perceive members of our society. John didn't choose to be poor. He chose to follow his dreams. Something that really shouldn't be looked down upon. Something, interestingly, which was central to the idea that America was built on. If chasing his dreams is what made him poor, perhaps the system is at fault and not the person. I do find it comical that people left this movie so mad that Lucy had picked the love of her life because he was broke. The reality is this movie isn't really about class. John isn't struggling. Or rather, he chose to struggle as a result of the world that he's grown up in. John has chosen to pursue a dream, and he is working jobs to facilitate this. This plays into larger, grander ideas of not only capitalism, but the way that masculinity is viewed by people still. People have seen John, seen the age he is, and his living situation, and he doesn't fit the mold of what a man should be. The mold in this case being the unicorn. I find it hilarious that the whole time this film is criticizing how vapid and materialistic we are as a society. I mean, the title is even implying this. And people still walked away with the same vapid response to John and Lucy's choice. The movie isn't anti-capitalist. It's not saying that money doesn't play a role in people's relationships, but much like Lucy in the film, it's trying to get across that wealth is simply another checkbox. It's not symbolic of love. The film is about Lucy and her dream of material goods and wealth. It almost isn't about John. It's simply a comparison between wealth and love. The film serves to show how powerful love is against these materialist instincts we might have, that the reward of love is far more. The film has signifiers to show you how in love these two characters are. It shows how real and pure this love is. The camera becomes more dynamic, the scenes are filled with natural light. There is a warmth and a softness to the light that doesn't give. The pair are shot in tight close-ups, and there's a physical intimacy between the two, like a magnet between Lucy and John that seems to want to bring them together. It's only in Lucy's fantasy life coming crumbling down that she is able to realize what true love really is. She's able to let herself feel for the first time, and this is why I think that flashback scene is so pivotal. It feels like the last time Lucy really allowed herself to feel. She clearly felt a deep love for John in that moment, but she was also constructing this fantasy in her head that didn't align with the life her and John were living. She was faced with two paths, and she chose the path that had large walls surrounding it. They didn't allow her to look around and feel. She was dialed in on that goal, and once she reached the end of that path and realized there was nothing for her at the end of the path, that perhaps life doesn't work out that way. It doesn't work out on set paths. Instead, you have to let go and let yourself feel. It's only after these walls come down that she's truly able to open herself up to her feelings, to truly see what she has and not what she longs for. She's no longer marching along the path set out for herself, shut off to the world. She slowly realizes this love that she has for John, and it's like all of a sudden it clicks.
I love you too. More than you know. You're the only reason I know I'm capable of love.
Not only is she able to reflect in the present on her own feelings, but she's able to look back in the past and understand and access feelings she had. As Dakota Johnson put it in the movie, maybe a few too many times, love isn't math. There's no equations to the feelings of our heart. You simply need to let yourself feel. So yes, it's not about wealth, it's not about material things, and honestly, I don't think the movie is either, maybe in contradiction to the title of the film. The classes that they were born into and their financial situations dictated the starting place of our story, but at the end of the day, the story isn't about money, it's not about material things, it's about love. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe and do all that YouTube stuff. I know it's been a little while since I've uploaded here. I've been super active on TikTok and Instagram. Daily videos, people, daily videos. I'm doing reviews and recommendations and stuff all over there, which I've really been enjoying. And I know this video essay format is slightly different. Hello, this is me, this is my face. But I'm looking to switch it up and continue with content like this. I want to be a little bit more consistent here. If anybody remembers, I did hint over on my Instagram, and I think in the last video, I have a challengers video coming. I wrote that video, but it is 13,000 words long, so I need time to work on it, and I want to do something proper for it. So that will come eventually, but hopefully there should be some more consistency on this channel now. I'm really looking forward. I've got some video essays prepped. So yeah, stick around if you enjoyed this. I would also love to hear your thoughts on Materialists. It seems to have caused so much discussion around people and the internet and nobody agreeing with each other. So if you agreed with this video, I'd love to know. If you disagreed, I'd also love to hear. Let's have a discussion in the comments. Thanks for sticking around, and don't forget to let me know in the comments below what you found in frames.